Hi, this is Jay Billis of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
It is the ML Sports Platter all over the major platforms. Leave a 5-star review and feedback as you download and subscribe the ML Sports Platter. We're brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual, New York State, and our great friends at the Syracuse Fitness Store. Make sure you go visit them on Erie Boulevard if you're in and around Central New York. Amazing workout equipment, bikes and Stairmasters, free weights and more. They've got your exercise mats and a heck of a lot more as well. Go see my friends at Syracuse Fitness Store. You hear my kid Quinn in the background. Syracuse Fitness Store on Erie Boulevard, a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. And also a major tip of the cap thank you to the support groups, the Swan and Whitaker families, and also the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group and Welch and Company Jewelers. Let's bring him in. He is the play-by-play voice of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies men's basketball team as we get set for a season full of expectations and hope. Gary Nease, also proud to call him a friend. Gary, amazing to have you back. How's the summer been going? And goodness, can we get hoops to tip off here? You and I and everybody else in Bonaland so excited. How are you?
Bad for a summer day.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you think that this Bonnies team upcoming can handle the hype and expectations? Because, man, I can't remember a time where there were this many expectations and this much hype in my day.
No, it's this is something that's a little bit unprecedented. You can go back to the team in 1970, but I don't think they had the national notoriety that this team has had since they won the Atlantic 10 and then got into the NCAA tournament, and then people realized that, hey, all the starters are back next year. So, I mean, that immediately jumped them into the preseason top 25 polls, and talk about putting a big old target on your back. That means, every team, you're going to get the best game from every team this year.
There's no doubt about it. It obviously, I mean, there's a lot of parts to this, as you know, but Mark Schmidt is really where it starts and ends. Years and years and years ago, the academic fraud comes in, Bonnies are in trouble, the program's in trouble, they could have gone out of the A-10, they could have been canceled, could have gone to D2, could have been, who knows what would have happened. Things get worked a little bit, and then, Schmidt gets hired, and ever since, Bonaventure basketball is really in one of the golden eras for the school. So I ask you this question. Is it possible for Mark Schmidt to even get better than he is now?
Well, you talk to any coach, and the coach will say, I'm only as good as the players. And the one thing that he's been able to do is bring quality players into the program and then improve them. He doesn't get the 3, 4, 5-star players. He gets the 2s or maybe a 2.5, and he turns them into all-star, all-conference players. So, he's been able to do that successfully for at least the last decade or so. The first couple of years, of course, he had very little to start with. But, boy, when you talk to guys like Tyler Ralph and Michael Lee, you go, Lee, look what you started.
Yeah.
But the last 10 years especially, he's been able to bring in, draw in some better quality players and then even make them even better. But the one thing that it really impresses me the last couple of years is the way these guys formed a team. And it didn't take them long. They took their lumps when they were freshmen because they just were so inexperienced. The 2 players that could have helped them out were both injured for the first third of the season. And they just, the 3 freshmen right off the bat with Kyle, Oshun, and Dom, they turned that program into a team in a hurry, almost won the A-10 tournament. Couldn't do it a couple of years ago because of COVID, and they come right back and win it last year. So the cohesiveness of the 5 that are probably going to start this year has been tremendous. And then you add in the players that he's been able to bring in from the offseason, and all of a sudden you're looking like a pretty impressive team.
Okay, how pumped up are you? You've seen it all at the Reilly Center. How pumped up are you for the big, crazy, Reilly rowdy crowds to come back?
Oh, I can't wait. Last year was...
I'm going to cry when I go in there,
It was unbelievably boring.
Oh.
I mean, doing games from the comfort of my office is nothing that I would ever wish on anybody.
Horrible.
It was just awful. Doing even Reilly Center, when you can hear the coaches talking to the players and the ball bouncing on the floor and the referees talking, that's not Reilly Center. That's a scrimmage. And, somehow they got through it and able to play very well at home, pick up those key wins on the road. And I'll tell you what, I had chills when I first started the broadcast that VCU game, the Atlantic 10 championship game in Dayton, just because there were people in the stands and the "Let's Go Bonas" chant.
Mm-hmm.
That just sent chills down my back. So, it's going to be great to get the crowd back this year, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be, it's loud there all the time. I just think that it's going to be even louder this year.
Gary Nease, our guest here on the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by Welch & Company Jewelers and Rosie's Corner, the play-by-play voice of the Bonnie's men's basketball team with a tremendous season ahead. At what point last season did you realize we got something special brewing again here in Olean?
It was a good team. You knew they had a good team, and the guys they brought in when they had that first game out in Cleveland, and they did a great job in that game. Scored a bunch of points. Everybody touched the ball. Everybody scored, and I said, "Boy, this is going to be a pretty good team." And then the first time I got to see them in person when they played Hofstra, they got off to a slow start, and all of a sudden they just blew them off the court. And you hoped at that point you didn't have a team that would just turn it on when they thought they needed to, that they could be more consistent. But as the season went along, the more consistent they got. I thought we had something special when they beat Richmond at Richmond. When Kyle hit that 3-pointer at the buzzer, that kind of told me right there. I said, okay, this team, they have what it takes to win on the road. They're going to defend the home court, and I said, now I think we've got something going here.
So the big three that are on this roster, obviously from years gone by, when they came in, I think a lot of Bona fans, Bona alum, kind of looked at it and said, hey, this trio, it's going to go or it's not with these three guys. Kyle Lofton, Oshun Oshinini, and of course, Dom Welch, who is just another great player that Schmidt has brought in. Can you go one by one with these guys and just kind of from the beginning until now chat about the growth of each of them, what you've seen, when you realized they were going to maybe take a jump, when they took the jump? Get into that trio a little bit one by one, Gary.
Well, you want to start, obviously, with Kyle Lofton. He came in, he was going to be the point guard. Or he was, going to work it slowly, and Nelson Caputo was going to kind of start it off and hand the reins over. But I think Kyle, right off the bat, it was going to be his team. He kind of took over in the preseason, and he's got that attitude that you want out of a point guard. He's tough. He wants the team. He can put the team on his back. He can yell at him. He can, whatever he wants. He's the perfect point guard for this team. And he had a chance to play with Oshun in prep school, so that kind of helped things out. And then when Dom came in, Dom was kind of a late arrival because he was injured. And he worked through the foot problem he had, really started to play about the 7th or 8th game of the season. He had to take a few off to heal up the foot. But when he got his confidence going, maybe about early part of the Atlantic 10 conference season, you had that trio, and all of a sudden you had more than one guy to guard. You had three, and then, they really did a good job learning on the fly, basically, because, Kyle's learning the position, Oshun, the kind of raw, and Dom not being able to practice or even play at times. But about midway through that season, just when the Atlantic 10 season started, they clicked. And you could see that the separate personalities on the team. You had Kyle, the leader, Oshun, who was maybe the emotional leader, and Dom, who is one of those guys. He's like a silent assassin. You go along, and all of a sudden you look up, and he's hit a couple of threes, and he's got 12 points and 8 rebounds, and all of a sudden, boy, he had a pretty good game, even though it didn't look like he had one there. So there's 3 different personalities, but they've been able to meld that together into a very cohesive team. And then you add, and Mark's done a great job of adding in players. Jaren Holmes and Jalen Attaway. You get those guys in there, those 5 starters, and you talk about a tight bunch of guys. They just they don't care who scores the points as long as they're up on top at the end of the game.
I'll tell you what, man. Oshun, Jalen Attaway, Jaren Holmes, Dom Welch, Kyle Lofton. They add in Kadri Adams from Wake Forest. You got a pretty good freshman class coming in. I remember Coach Schmidt, was talking really highly about this group coming in. Durosinmi leading the way, the big kid from Nigeria. And just piecemealing this thing and putting the puzzle together. And there's nobody in college basketball, for my money, who's better at puzzle work than Mark Schmidt. Do you get a sense? I wanted to focus on Jaren Holmes now. With having said all that, with all these players, he really is another Mark Schmidt, just a perfect Schmidt guy. He's almost kind of becoming. I know we just talked about the trio, but Gary, he's as important as anybody on this team.
Oh, he is, definitely. I mean, you're looking at a second leading scorer, a guy who can go inside, can go outside. He's a good defender. I mean, he's the perfect guy for Mark Schmidt's system. He's not overly tall, maybe 6'4", but he's big. You can't put a small guard on him. He'll take him, he'll school him all night. And the one thing, as I mentioned with this team, they've taken on the personality of their coach. They're all tough guys. They are not backing down from anybody, and they won't take anything from anybody, and they'll just try to impose their will. Jaren, just a perfect compliment to the 3 when he came in. Got better his second year, and I know that he spent a lot of time here this year in the off season, and doing the work. And he's one of those glue guys. He'll do whatever you would need him to do. If you need him to play defense on the team's best scorer, he'll do it. If you need to get a 3-pointer, he'll get it. He's just been a perfect compliment. And then Jalen Attaway, once he got into the picture, and they finally convinced him that, you could be a scorer. Who do you guard now? You got 5 guys on the floor that are offensive players, and you can't just double team somebody because they don't mind passing the ball to the next guy to get the easy shot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think it's safe to say that Jaren Holmes is greater and grander than Jaren English, right? Is that that's what we can that's what we can say? And he is for, it's funny, everybody now, right, Gary, in college basketball is big. Somewhere, somehow, someone's big, someone's long and lean. It's just the state of where we are: bigger, faster, stronger, basketball growth, AAU leagues, the weight training, guys getting stronger and taller early. But sometimes you do have a Bonaventure and they go up against an LSU, or they go up against a Florida in the tournament, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is a little bit back, right? Or if they come up to the Carrier Dome and play Syracuse with all that length and all that size, I gotta tell you, for 6'4", 210, man, Holmes is a rock. That kid is so strong, Gary.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're all like that. I mean, like Kyle Lofton's listed at 6'3" and 185. He might be the toughest guy of the bunch. Yeah. As far as physicality goes, but they're just not afraid. They even when they were down to LSU in that NCAA game, they weren't backing down. They were attacking the basket. They were trying for steals. They were trying to do whatever they can to get back in that game. They're not going to quit. And as I said, they take on the personality of their coach. Mark Schmidt's never going to quit, and his players aren't going to quit. And if they do, then they're going to have a long season sitting next to somebody on the end of the bench. I mean, that's the quality and the type of player that he recruits, and he wants those guys playing right from the start and not letting down at the end of the game.
Couple more for Gary Nease, Bonnie's Men's Hoops play-by-play man. Is it just assumed here? I know anything can happen, but Mark Schmidt is at Bonaventure, and that's that. Is that pretty much where we are here? I mean, I know I asked him about it again a couple months ago, and he always talks about how special the place is and this and that, but it seems like things, right, as kids get older, as situations grow, as the money comes in a little bit more at Bonnie, and the TV deal's there with the A-10 now in multiple spots, Mark Schmidt and Bonaventure, I mean, are they kind of linked, and this is what we think is going to happen here?
I think so. I mean, how many times has he been asked to interview for other jobs,
Right.
and all of a sudden he's right back here in August getting his team ready. So I really do. I honestly think that he's going to be a lifer, if you want to call him that.
Wow.
I'll tell you, he's just it's just amazing to when things work out like this. When you get a coach that wants to stay here, who's got the talent to go somewhere else, but says, no, it's got to be a pretty special deal for me to leave. Then you've got somebody who's committed to not only the program but the university.
Okay. I asked him this question. Would you trade the A10 tournament win and the A10 regular season win for one win in the NCAA tournament? He said no. And he said no because he's all about the longevity and the body of work. Would you trade those two for a win in the tournament?
No, because
Okay.
I'm probably like Mark and like every other Bonaventure fan. I'm greedy. I want them all. I don't give me a choice. I want to win every one of them. I want to win a pickup game out on the sidewalk. It doesn't matter.
Well, he was so quick with it. He was he's like no, and then he answered. So last week, Gary, and I'll end on this. Last week went to the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame induction, and in that class was Kevin Kernan from Ball 9 and Tino Martinez, of course, the Yankee great. But also included was Fred Handler, whose son now, Eric Handler, is VP of Communications at the Yes Network, and Fred was just a legendary coach at Bona's, and they spent so much time, Fred Handler Park and McGraw-Jennings Field, and Eric gave the speech, and it was wonderful, and talking about Bonaventure and this and that, and it made me feel so good, and I got so emotional during it because, gee whiz, another reminder of how small the school is, but how great big it is, to us. It's a great big place. And man, for being a couple thousand students, Gary, we are all over the place.
Absolutely. And I've never met Fred, but I watched him when he was an assistant coach. During those years in the '60s and '70s with Larry Weese, just a tremendous quality player and coach. And anybody you talk to about Fred Handler, when I go on campus or something, they had nothing but good things to say about him. Just a tremendous, not only a tremendous coach, but a tremendous person.
You know what? I got to sneak one more in here if you have a minute. Dennis DePerro obviously was such an amazing president for Bona's, and he's missed by so many, including you and I. Did you have a lot of interactions with Dennis, and what was that like that night when, it must have been so weird because there was no crowd to, celebrate his life, and then the Bonnies didn't play well, obviously. They just found out. That whole thing was just wild.
That was I actually found out that morning from Coach Schmidt. We had set up our pregame interview, and he had told me that he had passed the night before, and it just was it was solemn, and it just I think a little bit of maybe a little bit of shock with the team that night. I don't think they were fully into the game, and I don't think anybody was really. I mean, even it was hard to get any excitement going, even though it was a fairly close game. It just there was something else that was slightly more important than basketball that night, and so that was very, very tough because Dennis, I had many occasions to talk with Dennis, not only at games but off campus, socially a few times, and just a wonderful person. Great sense of humor. He just made everybody feel comfortable around him, and he had done so much in so little time. You sit back and think, man, if he was still here, what would Bonaventure be doing right now? I mean, he just had so much foresight into the future, and what could be done, and what could be tweaked, and what could be kept, and he just was a tremendous person. And you hope that whoever follows him is going to keep things going and keep a little bit of a legacy of Dennis DePerro going on campus.
Yeah, no doubt. Gary Nease, the play-by-play voice for the Bonnies men's basketball team. Exciting times. The season upcoming should be great. A lot of the other teams are doing well at Bona as well. And there's a new AD in town
Right.
in Joe Manhertz, who's got some major connections all over the place. Colgate, Syracuse, he's from Rochester. And everybody I talk to, it's a slam dunk hire for St. Bonaventure University. Gary, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Really appreciate it. I've always obviously looked up to you and your work and proud to call you a friend. And look, if I'm allowed to get down there, I will see you at a game, my man.
That sounds good. It's my pleasure.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Axe Exotic Pets, Ken's Auto Detailing, and Sit Means Sit Dog Training in Syracuse. Make sure you log on today to sitmeansit.com. Any dog, any breed, any behavior, Dave and his staff do an amazing job with dog training. It'll help your pup. It'll help you and the life at home. Sit Means Sit of Syracuse, the best dog training around. Go ahead and log on to sitmeansit.com. I wanted to just get into a little bit more on the Bonaventure side in terms of roster and some other things that, I just wanted to share. I mean, Jaren Holmes, who we just talked at length about, here's a guy who, when you go back to, being the perfect Schmidt player, right? It's like, this is exactly a guy, and there's so many examples, right? I mean, there's Matt Mobley, there's Holmes, there's tons of guys, Posley. I mean, it's just, through the years, there's countless, endless ones. The Bonaventure perfect Schmidt player and how he gets guys and where he finds them from community colleges and from Canada and from wherever else. It's endless. The list is so endless that you forget people. It's like when you try to, talk about how talented the Tampa Bay Lightning are, and you're like Kucherov, Johnson, Palat, Braden Point, Steve Stamkos, and all of a sudden, like, somebody rips off like five more guys. Anthony Cirelli, and you forget multiple players. But Holmes is really, truly a Schmidt player. I mean, he is a perfect prototypical guy who Schmidt has brought into this program, and it's worked. And what Gary Nease said is totally accurate in terms of, this guy, Jaren Holmes. I mean, he comes in and it's the growth and it's the effort and it's Schmidt knowing a player and the 2-star who becomes a 4 or 5-star at Bonas. They might not be a 4 or 5-star really coming out of high school. They might not be a 4 or 5-star prospect to an NBA player, NBA GM, and they might not be ever an NBA player, whatever. But for Bonaventure, they're stars. They become stars. They become 4 and 5 stars after being a 1 or 2 while recruited. And look, this guy was at Ranger Community College. Okay, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. One of the best players in the Atlantic 10 right now was a community college guy. Where does Schmidt find him? I don't even know. I just had to type it in to see, exactly, at least on the map, where it was. But I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, he scored in double figures 23 times there. All Northern Texas Junior College Athletic Conference, second team under Coach Billy Gillespie. But that doesn't mean that, Syracuse, Georgetown, North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, and Gonzaga are going to go in there and Baylor and go in and say, hey, let's go get this kid. Schmidt did. And then as a sophomore, immediately, 23 of 24 games played, 13.2 average, 5.2 in a league that's way faster, way better, way stronger in the A10, out of conference games, Power 5 introduction, etc. 17 points against Dayton, 16 against Fordham. Great game against Hofstra, right? I mean, he was 4 for 5 in that game from beyond the arc. 12 points and 4 rebounds against a San Diego team that was big and physical. Then you fast forward to his junior year. He makes the second team all-conference honors for A10. He's named to the all-academic team for the second year in a row. Started all 21 games. Bumps up the points a little bit. Bumps up everything. Rebounds, etc. Playing time, 13.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, 2 assists, 33 minutes per game, 38% from three-point land, improved that in the offseason. It paid off in the regular. And, he led the Bonnies with 18 points against LSU in the tournament game. Nothing would fall in that game. And in fact, I don't even think the Bonnies played bad, or it wasn't like, oh, well, hey, they didn't show up or anything like that, or, oh, they were overmatched. They literally couldn't make shots. I mean, it was so frustrating. Inside, outside, everywhere, they couldn't make shots, but Holmes kept fighting. And Holmes scored 18 points. Finished with 9 points and 7 rebounds in the A-10 championship victory against VCU. Had a great game against St. Louis prior to that with 7 boards and 15 points. Huge win over Davidson. He went for a double-double, 19 and 11. And then, of course, we have to remember the amazing performance against St. Joe's. Tied for 8th all-time in Bonnie's regular season in Bonnie's Reilly Center single-game scoring with 38 points, and he had 10 rebounds. He was just on fire every single time he touched the ball. I'm like, yeah, it's going in. And, again, at Richmond, we just got done talking about the Lofton buzzer beater, but it was Holmes with 17 points on 7 of 12 shooting. He has really paced a lot of the Bonaventure games in terms of the offense. And, he's a guard who is interchangeable. He's versatile. He's strong and athletic. And look, the trio gets a lot of attention, as they should. They came in with a lot of hype, at least in a Bonaventure world. I remember hosting radio in Central New York, and Syracuse fans, they want every single recruit, and most fans are like that, no matter what what school it is, football or basketball. Most fans, gotta have him. Boy, he'd be great for the zone. And all of a sudden, Oshun chooses Bonas over Georgetown, Syracuse, and a host of others, and then he's really not that good. So Oshun came in with a ton of hype. Welch came in, obviously the leading scorer all time in Buffalo high school history. And Kyle Lofton, just a wonderful player who was teammates at Putnam Science Academy with Oshinini, and now these 3 guys are heading in. They're seniors. I mean, the Bonnies have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seniors on this team. One of them, the red shirt, in terms of Jalen Attaway. The sophomore class is strong, I think, and they'll grow. But this is it right here. I mean, this upcoming year is it. This is the time to, again, I know they won the A-10 regular season last year. I know they won the A-10 tournament title. It's going to be hard, obviously, to replicate one or both of those just because it's so hard to get back. It's so hard to win again. But this team has an opportunity. And I know how difficult it is. I know, the expectation is easily to get in the NCAA tournament and then, win a game or two. There's a lot of people who think, well, it's not that simple. You got to get in. You got to see who you play. The matchups are big. But this is it. At a school like Bona, this is it. They've built this thing for a few years. The recruiting has been really, really good the last several years thanks to Mark Schmidt. He's found diamonds in the rough and all the rest. You build up to what you did last year, and now it's all systems go. You've got everybody coming back, all your big scorers. You really hit it with the Wake Forest transfer in terms of Kadri Adams. I think the kid Abdul Kareem Koulibaly, and I believe that's how you pronounce it, from Pittsburgh. He's a redshirt sophomore at forward. He's going to give them a ton of minutes this year, I think. You've got the kid Durasinmi coming in from Nigeria, who's a freshman. He won't play that much. He'll be behind Oshun, but could be, if he can get in and get some early minutes and whatnot and learn from Oshun and grow in the Schmidt system, he could be an impact player in 2022, 2023. But this is it, man. I mean, this roster from top to bottom, Lofton, Welch, Attaway, Oshinini, Holmes, all these guys, I'm telling you right now, this is what it is like for life as and I hate the term, mid-major. Put all the eggs in the basket, build off of last year, and now this year is the one where the hurdle is right here, and you went over, tried to get over that hurdle, the big hurdle, the national major hurdle, right? And it was, whoa, we're halfway over because we won the A-10 regular season, we won the tournament, but then against LSU, again, didn't make a lot of shots and lost badly. Now you go in and you've got an out-of-conference schedule that is absolutely through the roof. You've got an opportunity to be ranked right early in the season. You have an opportunity to make more history. You have an opportunity to win the A-10 again, tournament and regular season. You're playing Virginia Tech this year. You're playing in the Charleston Classic. Clemson's there, Temple's there. You're playing against Boise State in that first game. You've got just an unbelievable opportunity. You're playing Loyola Maryland. The schedule's pretty good. It's not Loyola Chicago, but it's Loyola Maryland. I mean, this is a very, 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 very good schedule. And you just got a real opportunity here. I think the Bonnies, you win as many games as you can, you get in the tournament, and then from there, that's where the history is going to be made. I mean, it's going to be, the bread will be buttered in the NCAA tournament. This is the group right here that has been there, done that. They've won A-10 title. They've won A-10 tournament. They've lost a tournament game. They've had multiple heartbreaks. They've faced adversity. They've done it all, and they've done it all together. And now this is the last run for these guys. And so this is where you really, 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 all the eggs are in the basket, and all systems go. And I'm super pumped up for it. Big time thanks to Gary Nease for jumping on the ML Sports Platter here on all the major platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer, iHeartMedia, Amazon. Go ahead and download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We are brought to you by CNY Electrical, Camillus Golf Club, the Syracuse Fitness Store, and our great friends at Stanley Law Offices. Visit them online at stanleylawoffices.com. Together, they'll work to get you the maximum award. Stanley Law Offices, a proud title sponsor of the ML Sports Platter. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports, and as I always tell you, enjoy the games.